You're listening to the Simply Flawsome Show, a podcast designed for you to listen, learn, and leverage. Please welcome your host, Zoe Turner.
January, I attended a 7-day retreat with Dr. Joe Dispenza. So the 7 days, they were probably the most transformative 7 days of my life. And today I'm going to be having a conversation with the beautiful Kristina and Jasmine, Dr. Jasmine, who were both on the retreat with me. So during that week, each of us, we stepped outside of our personal reality and we placed our trust into the unknown. The intention of today's podcast and discussion is to share with you what we learned and more specifically, how we have applied this to our lives. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you so much for inviting us. We love you so much.
We love you and we love Dr. Joe.
Yeah, we do, definitely.
And his teachings. Yeah.
Oh.
So, ladies, before we start our chat, would each of you introduce yourselves to the audience? And for the benefit of the podcast audience, who are you and what do you do?
Okay, I'm a tooth fairy by night and I'm a pediatric dentist by morning. I help those kids get beautiful, nice smiles, drama-free and tear-free. And I love healing. It's all about healing to me. And actually, interestingly enough, so I met Kristina 2017 and she reminded me that I've always wanted to be a healer. Now I forgot I had that intention. I set it out in the universe and Joe is the one that's bringing it back to life and with the teachings. I hope this is enough of a teaser for them to stay tuned and follow up.
Hi, my name is Kristina, as you probably know. So I teach Kundalini yoga, I teach yoga, meditations, and as well as sound therapy. And I'm also a life coach. My mission in life is to help people to release stress, anxiety, and gain calm and peace in really a short amount of time. So these are techniques that I share.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much, ladies. So, where do we start with this? Because we were all on that retreat. We were all on the 7 days retreat, and it was absolutely incredible. The theme of the workshop was higher love. And isn't it incredible, like during that 7 days, how much our heart really opened up. Been a month now since that happened. How are you guys feeling? How are you feeling now?
That's a good question. I'm feeling like it's been such a long time ago already. But I'm feeling my consciousness shifted, my awareness shifted, my daily habits, daily routines. And it's not like overnight you lose what makes you human. Mm-hmm. It's just that you see it better and you see yourself with the more naked truth of what you want to change about yourself. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing.
To me, I think I definitely become much more aware of what's happening in my life, in life of other people. I understand hidden reasons behind emotions, behind procrastination, about positive and negative things I do. And it became really crystal clear to me. So that's really helped. And definitely we're back to life. And life is not always, a paradise.
Fairy tales.
Yeah, exactly. But I definitely learned how to go back into this quantum field of information every time I fall out of a grace. And that's really helpful too, because it's very easy to get trapped into problems, stress, right?
Yeah.
But when you know the tool and when you realize, oh, hold on, now I'm going lower and lower. Let me not continue on this journey. Let me do the exercise. And then you come out and you're just, you're there.
For those listening who may be getting a little bit confused about what we're talking about, and maybe we should give them a brief introduction into what we experienced and into Dr. Joe's work. Like maybe in a paragraph, how would you describe it?
So Dr. Joe Dispenza is a scientist and obviously doctor who's using epigenetics, quantum physics in order to help people to get out of their comfort zone and manifest whatever they want in their life. So to me, he's actually teaching spirituality, but from a very scientific perspective.
We should explain what epigenetics mean, because my understanding, and I might be wrong here because I haven't got all the answers, but that's when we change our genetic disposition, how we instruct new genes to change our genetic destiny.
Yeah. So here's what I understand. Genetics is very complicated. Sometimes we tend to, I'll give you an example first. We tend to think, oh, it's in my gene pool, that's it, that's my life. For example, if all my family has diabetes, right? And diabetes is quite prevalent. Everyone nowadays just has diabetes. So it is, a lot of people would be like, you know what, my mom has it, my dad has it, blah, blah, blah has it, I'm going to have it. But what Dr. Joe is saying is epigenetics is influencing your genes, which you have, and that's true, with your environment to not get that. To be the only one family member that does not follow suit with your environment. But it's not just about what you eat and drink and do. It's about what you're thinking. It's about your thoughts. It's about your energy. And that is the essence of being a supernatural being that Dr. Joe
So essentially,
talks about.
he's saying that our thoughts can change our genetic disposition.
Absolutely.
And I think for us, like for all of us who've been going to school like 20 years ago, it's very common to believe that our genes define our future life. It's very common because this is how we've been taught at school. And, you know, when Dr. Joe is teaching us to do all those breath techniques and meditations, he's basically allowing us to signal new genes in a new way. So you can actually reinvent yourself while practicing all his techniques. And it's not that complicated. You know, it's only about knowing it, understanding how to do it, and then applying the discipline to do it every single day. And to me, it's like the hardest bit, right? So just doing it no matter what. And then, you signal new genes in new ways. And that's the magic of it.
I wanted to add something. It's also the power of choice, that you have a choice. You're not the diagnosis. You're not the disease. The disease was created because a bunch of stuff, but you chose to rise above and beyond that disease and be like, you know what? I'm not the disease. The disease came because I'm going to change. This is brilliant. And honestly, before Dr. Joe existed, we know about all these people that changed their life around and be like, you know what? I got cancer. I don't want cancer. I'm going to change it. And they're normal people like you and me. It's an untapped resource for ordinary people. We don't know how to do it. Sometimes we just give up and be like, okay, it's my destiny to have that disease. And it's beautiful when you realize.
Kristina, tell us about that video that you sent me, because I thought that was absolutely fascinating. It was a gentleman from the UK who'd had cancer, stage 4 cancer, and he was being told he was going to die by the doctors. Tell the audience about that.
So it's not just a cancer, it was a 4-stage cancer that he had. I think his name was Mick. He's a guy from UK. So he had 50 tumors in his brain, 50, you know. So when we have just one, we're just freaking out and we go to the surgery. He had 50 tumors, 4-stage cancer. He got divorced. He got separated from his children. And basically the doctors were telling him, please do the arrangements because there is no way you can survive. And then, of course, he's been without house, without family, without any job. Of course, he couldn't work in this condition. He said, okay, I'm just gonna do my best and practice those meditations that Dr. Joe has taught us all day long, because it's better to do this rather than to prepare for my own funerals. As much as doctors were convincing him to do that, he just decided to step into something else. And he was saying, it was not common. It was very unusual. People were thinking he's a bit crazy because he need to prepare for a funeral. And then I think 6-7 months down the line, he got checked and the cancer was gone.
Wow.
And of course, the doctors were shocked and they couldn't understand what he was doing because they thought he will be dead by this time, right?
Being
I'm not
British,
surprised.
I could really relate to that guy because he wasn't a hippie. He wasn't like kind of woo-woo. Like a lot of people have the assumption that the type of person that follows this mode of thinking, wears Jesus sandals and eats brown rice and, you know, a bit of a hippie type. But this guy was literally somebody who you would probably meet down the pub. And I think if it wasn't for the fact that he was dying of cancer, he'd probably never have come across Dr. Joe. But he, like you said, he literally had no choice. There was nothing else for him to do. He thought, you know, I'm just going to go all in. And that's something that Dr. Joe says a lot, just go all in. So that guy did go all in.
Surrender.
And we explain what the results were.
The results were he got out of the disease. So he actually is a healthy person now. He travels, he got a job, so he's functioning properly in the society.
Amazing.
And the disease is gone, and 50 tumors in the brain, it's not a joke, right? So, yeah, and this shows me, that really everything is possible. And okay, this guy had no other choice because he was preparing to die, but how many of us just get stuck into the complaining and feeling sorry about ourselves and judging and gossiping instead of just getting out of this, and do the work and do the meditation. And then the more you're stuck into this negative and low states, the more you attract the same.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, he's a great example, I think, and it was really emotional to watch him. But then Dr. Joe steps in and then he explained everything scientifically. And this is what I love about Dr. Joe's job. There is no mystery.
No.
Everything is like 1 + 1 is 2. So in his job is the same. You do 1 + 1, you'll get 2. There is no mystery.
It's science-based. I love about that the experiments that they've done and the people that have done the work, and they looked at their genes, and the genes have telomeres, and the telomeres are a certain size, and according to your age, this size starts to, by age passing, shrink. And this is aging, right? What happens to the cells? They age, they die, they get disease. So with Dr. Joe's work, they would get these telomeres and say they're lengthening, which means people are getting younger, not older. And this is science experiments. It's true. It's not woohoo, ha, 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 law of attraction. No. It's something real.
It's so interesting. Even when I was walking to the shop this morning, I was actually thinking, God, I'm feeling a little bit tired. And then I corrected myself. And I told myself to tell myself that I had the energy of a 24-year-old. Because I think the only thing, I think we have this kind of belief that as we get older, we slow down and our energy levels aren't as high. But it's our mind that's telling us that. Yeah. And I think naturally we all fall into this mode of thinking.
Culture.
The more we can undo that thinking, the more that we can do all that negative programming that we've got in our mind. Ladies, I want to talk about, you may have seen this on Facebook. It was a Facebook post on a group that I'm in, which I assume you guys may be in as well. It's Dr. Joe Dispenza live streams. I've read this post. It resonated with me so much. I must have read it about 15 times. The lady was talking about judgment. Such a buzz now about how to be happy. What can we do in society to make us happier? The lady that wrote this post on Facebook, she said that Dr. Joe, when people ask him how they can be happy, he just simply tells them to stop judging people. Yeah. He talks a lot about the low vibration. He talks about the kind of low vibration that we get ourselves into when we judge people. And I think quite naturally we all do that without realizing it. In some ways it becomes part of our genetic makeup over the years, but the whole point of this work is that we can undo that. We can erase all that if we want to. Apparently, there was an interview with Dr. Joe and a lady called Caroline Miss. It's from several years ago. And Caroline had said something that we develop illness when our energy isn't in present time. And she also went into a lot of detail about judgment and how it drains the life force from our chakra system. So for instance, judging the way somebody looks drains your third chakra. Judging the way someone speaks will drain the throat chakra. And what she had said is to imagine that we have 100 units of energy. And she said to picture them as power cords coming out of your chakras. So this is your life force, which is meant to sustain you. It's meant to keep you vibrant and it's meant to heal you. But if we're judging others, we're mismanaging that energy that we have.
We're giving it away for free.
So we're causing a weakness in our body, in our bodies within the organ system. I just kind of wanted to highlight that. Well, what do you girls think?
When you're telling me that, as a doctor, I'm thinking chemicals that are being released. Because look, we agree this is not some hoo-hoo, ha-ha. It's science, right? And when you're judging someone, you're judging yourself too, right? there's a little bit of that. And when you're doing that, what energy are you releasing and what neurotransmitters are you releasing? Are you releasing serotonin that makes you happy, or something that makes you feel lousy and be, oh, I'm judged, she's bad, who's bad, look at that. And it's all in your head. And then your head is like responding, yeah, she needs a little bit more sadness and depression and anger. Let me give her some of that. So your body matches. So your brain is sitting in a pool of anxiety hormones that you didn't ask for, but actually your thoughts asked for. And then you're sitting there, and the more this repeats over and over and over again, this is your body's new home. Your body doesn't want to let go of that because it's so used and comfortable. It's cozy underneath that, blanket, if you call it. And when you're like trying to be happy, your body's like, hey, wait a second. It's 8 a.m. Usually 8 a.m. you're stuck in traffic and you're being angry at everyone. No, don't be happy. No, don't go there. Just be sad. Yeah. And it's chemicals, and we're addicted to it. We cannot leave it that easily. And that's what I think about. What do you think about, Kristina?
So it's definitely something that I would link with the word addiction. Because when we judge somebody, we usually do it unconsciously, because maybe our family members used to do that, our teachers, our colleagues, etc. So for us, it's normal to say, hey, this lady has horrible skirt. Oh, she looks ugly. Oh, he looks like stupid. So it's kind of natural, and most of us, we don't think like it's bad. It's the way everybody lives. I don't like, I express it, right? But if you think about it, you actually reconfirm your strong addiction to low emotions.
True.
And the moment you do that, you actually stealing from your own creative energy. So the more you judge, the less creative you become. The more, again, you get angry with something or someone, it's like a level of your creative energy goes down, and then you're stuck in those emotions. And it's really hard to get out of it. Like, I'll be very honest, I used to judge people a lot, and now I judge people, but now I'm more aware, because even if I judge within my mind, I was like, hold on, you just, judge someone, and what would it make to your creative energy? So now I make a link between my mental judgment, right, and what do I steal from my own self.
Absolutely.
But it's very hard to get rid of it, because you need to be totally aware, okay, and you need to realize that it is an addiction. It's like sometimes people get addiction to the cigarettes, to the alcohol, to fast food, whatever is there. Judgment is also an addiction, and there is work that needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so much more aware of the words that I say now, especially since reading that. I've always been a lover of language and very aware of what we say, but despite that, we still say and do things that we know that are probably not for our benefit or for the benefit of others. I have to say, just knowing that.
The victory, as Dr. Joe was saying, once you realize it's already a victory, because most of us, we operate on autopilot, unconscious. We just do the things because, everyone is doing it. We never thought about doing it differently, right? So,
It's beautiful.
It's a big victory to be aware, I think.
Self-conscious.
Is it just me that's focusing on that noise, or can you two hear it as well?
In the background.
I think we should just ignore it, shouldn't we? Oh, God.
I'm cool.
I love kids.
I love kids, but when you're trying to do a podcast. Okay, guys, thank you so much for that. What should we talk about next?
To create from quantum field.
I love it.
I love this topic.
I love it.
And I wish they teach us this at school.
I wish.
How to create from quantum fields.
So how vast, that's what I'm reading here, how vast is endless space?
Vast is endless.
How vast?
Vast.
How vast is endless space? That's what Dr. Joe talks a lot about, when we're in our meditations, is that separating matter from 5D. And it's just kind of getting lost and surrendering into the unknown. I've been doing this work for quite some time now, and I still find this really, really challenging. And I'll have moments within the meditations when I feel like I've got it. I feel like I'm floating. And then all of a sudden it'll be like a jolt. Do you think that?
Oh, yeah,
Is that how you
definitely.
feel?
But it's
and then I'm
normal.
back.
Yes.
It feels like a jolt, and then you're back.
But it's normal, and most of the people, again, they speak about the same obstacle, because I teach meditation, and 99.9% of people come to me after classes and they said, okay, we struggle to meditate, and it's normal. Then I ask them, okay, for how many years you haven't been meditating, and for how many years or months you have been meditating? It's normal, right? You were not born with it. You were born with very different mindset, so it's normal, and we should really go with the experience. And the key in meditation is not to have any expectations, just to be within the experience, right?
Yeah.
You agree?
I wanted to add something to that. So, being someone that also didn't do much meditations, you get caught into thinking your body and mind are the same. Your body's like, I want to pee, and you're like, okay, I want to pee, but no. Joe teaches you to be like, hey, stay, and you train to put them both separate, and you have control over it. And you have control, okay, I need to pee. Be like, no, you know what? I'm going to do my meditation, and I'm not going to go pee. You know what, body? You're going to sit still. You're going to act nice and happy. And I'm going to do my stuff because I need to. And you know what? Sometimes just a simple realization that these two things are separate, and you are not your mind, you're not your body, you're the controller, you are the owner. Just like a dog, you'd call it by name and the dog would come to you. You can control them both and separate them both. And this is key to successful meditation.
What's the biggest difference that you've noticed since you've been doing the work from within?
I actually, as I said, I don't have expectations. I just go with the flow. I just go with the experience, and that's it, And I don't think much, what will be the outcome? Would I achieve this? Let's say if it's a meditation of abundance, would I achieve the abundance? Or if it's a meditation for pineal gland, I don't think about it. Like, I learned how to go with the flow and with the experience. And I think it's fundamental aspect of the life, because very often in life, we don't really enjoy the experience, no matter what we do. We eat, but we think about the next step.
Absolutely.
We talk to the person, but we're not so much present with the person. We think, what's going to happen next? So I think this principle in meditation that I've learned, it's actually very much helping me in the whole life in general, to be present, to be connected, to feel each and every situation that I'm going through in my life, whether I'm talking to my son, or I'm at work doing the report, or I'm, teaching someone, etc. And it's not easy because the mind is always jumping. It wants more. But hey, as you said, I'm just training here a dog, an animal, like in the Pavlov dog experience, and just hold on, you're going to stay here, you're going to stay connected, and you'll be present.
Stay. I love Dr. Joe when you say stay. See. It's so beautiful. I miss him so much. You know what else I miss about? It's so good he has a wing. Guys, you missed a lot. You really absolutely have to go see him and check him out.
When we meditate, why do we have to go into theta?
I love that.
Why do we have
Brainwaves.
to go into theta state hypnosis to meditate?
You know what? Okay, we have a lot of brainwaves, or a couple of brainwaves. The first brainwave we're tapping into like 99% of the time, beta brainwave. Where I'm like, right now I'm talking to you, I'm active, I'm conscious, But you know what's happening with beta brainwave? You're autopilot, you're doing your thing, and you're not really tending to your energy. You're not really creating. You're not really tapping into your pure consciousness. You're there, but you're not. Agree?
Yeah.
There is stress. There is so much. When back in the day, TV used to switch off and they just have this like shh. Don't know if you remember that.
So for those listening, beta brainwave patterns is when we're conscious.
Yeah.
Let's go through the different type of brainwaves.
This is the norm.
So there's beta.
Beta, that's us now. Talking, creating, talking, being conscious, alert, and maybe stressed. Maybe doing a lot of things, thinking a lot of things.
And the theta is when we access our subconscious mind.
It's a spectrum. So theta, when things go slow. And it's this little sweet spot when we're just about to drift off and sleep, but we're seeing lucid, beautiful, nice, beautiful dreams. And they're juicy, and you can see them. And you're having this beautiful hormone release in your body that's telling your brain, hey, wait a second. You did so well during the day. Let's lift those feet up. Enjoy. And you know what? We're going to start healing now. What do you think about it?
Yeah, because you cannot heal your body while you are at a high level of brainwaves.
Or
right?
stress.
So your body can only heal itself when you go down into the theta brainwave. And this is when your autonomic system takes over, right?
Yes.
And then it heals itself, because then when you are in this state, you are connecting yourself to the higher intelligence that basically pumps your blood, that regulates all your digestive processes, that allows you to breathe in and out, because you don't do this processes consciously. You don't think, okay, let me just pump my blood or digest the lunch.
The food.
It's all happen automatically, right? So, and who's responsible for this? It's a higher intelligence. You can only tap into this higher intelligence when you go into the theta brainwaves.
It's like housekeeping.
And one of the advantages of this meditation is when we experience lucid dreams, which is what you spoke about earlier. That is probably my favorite part, and it's something that I experienced during the pineal gland meditation. And I guess that's why we get up at 4 a.m. to meditate, and why some people get up at 4 a.m. to pray.
Wow.
Because at that time, the melatonin in our body is more increased, and it's the melatonin that affects or enables us to lucid dream. For those that don't know, a lucid dream is when you're dreaming, but you know you're dreaming. So I'm sure that you've had a dream before and you've been asleep, but you're actually knowing what you're dreaming about. That's what we call a lucid dream. And this is something that you experience when you experience that deep level of meditation. I think at that point we're getting into gamma. Theta is like just opening the door, and then gamma brainwaves is where you're like stepping into the unknown. It's a lot more intense, and that's when the lucid dreaming takes place.
You know what's funny? What's funny is sometimes our brain is really an untapped resource, really. We use, and lots of studies are saying that. I'm a hypnotherapist as well, so I'm a hypnodontist. I use it for hypnotizing my children on the chair to accept my treatment. So they say you're using around 8 to 10% of your brain capacity. It's interesting. And actually, most of us exist in either beta, which is our normal life, day-to-day activities, or delta, where we're sleeping. And what happens is beta and sleep, delta, beta, delta, beta, delta. And you never experience some of those amazing, liberating brainwaves like alpha. Alpha is where all the creative juices are there, and where you're creating. And you're just like, is there a box? I don't even see the box. This is a possibility. This is a possibility. This is a potential. This, I can do this. Da, 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 da. And there's so many more brainwaves in the spectrum. And if you see the brainwaves, which hurts and whatever, you'd see the kids. Very interesting. I love kids. They are existing into their subconscious. We were kids someday, but what happened is that door is closed, and we're just going up into that spectrum.
Isn't it up to a certain age? And I can't remember how old this is.
6.
It's up to a certain age. You know the question I'm going to ask, that a child is in theta state.
All the time.
Which is why children can be so intuitive.
Absolutely.
Because when they're in theta, you're kind of accessing that intuitive part of the brain.
Brain power.
Yeah.
So that's why kids have such powers to them.
Absolutely.
You know?
But then the schooling and social environment kills it, right? Because we don't then teach kids how to tap on their own intuition. They don't have such subjects at school or at kindergarten.
Or meditation.
What they teach them is just, to pay attention to the physical objects. Tighten your shoes, put your head on, take the book, etc. So then the child is losing everything what you just explained, right? And that's why the child then grows up and he doesn't know how to meditate. He doesn't know how to go back to his creative inner state, and he doesn't know how to connect himself with the entire universe so he can manifest whatever he can. So this is
Can I just say, sorry, that I love you teaching kids meditation. I think it's amazing. And you know what? I use it as part of my therapy for children, especially children on the spectrum. They need to accept the dentist sitting nice and still. But if their brain... See, the problem with children now, they're poor creatures. Everything is talking to their brain. You know, the TV, the phone, the brainwave, electricity, So they get sidetracked a lot. So to be able to give them care, I give them meditations, and I'm a dentist. I don't need to. But I love the work you're doing. It's so pioneered that you need to keep going, keep doing it. And think about the potential kids will have if from their start they are able to tap into that beautiful resource.
I think there was someone who said, I'm not sure if it was Dalai Lama or someone, like, if every single child today will learn how to meditate, then in one generation from now, the entire hostility and war in the planet will stop.
Wow.
I find it fascinating.
Incredible, isn't it? And as you say, because from 0 to 6, they're already in theta, so it's going to be so much easier for us to shape how we would like our children to be. It also highlights how important those early years are.
Absolutely.
And what is going on around them, how that is become embedded within their subconscious mind, which is going to shape their future massively.
I see the trend now. There are some schools who are, asking for a meditation experience. Let's say they're inviting us, teachers of meditation, to do some classes and awareness sessions. However, it's really slow. And if you look at, people who live in very highly conscious life, they're actually taking their kids from school and they are doing their own curriculum. But curriculum is based on a few things. And one of them is tapping into their own intuition, right? And understanding how to meditate and how to manifest what you want. I actually feel that maybe in 10 years from now, I hope sooner, intuition will be a must subject in each and every school. I hope so. Because then people end up leaving the school and they don't know what they want, right? Because they just follow their parents' guidance or their grandparents or their friends, and then they end up living life misery and life of not knowing actually who they are and what they want, right?
True, for a very long time. I love this. Brainwaves is a subject we can talk about.
I love this subject. I love obviously talking about children because they're our future. Kids are our future. So many negative behaviors that as adults we unconsciously pass on to our children. And I think in many ways it's just lack of education. Lack of kind of knowing what we're just talking about and how important that age is for a child.
Because we didn't know any better. Like, I think every single person operates and lives the life at the very best of his capacity, right? There is not a single person who just wake up in the morning and said, you know what, I want to have a miserable day, I want to screw myself and children.
No.
Nobody say that. But because, we are living upon the, environment and lessons we learn, this is how we operate. Like, we think judgment is okay, so we judge. We think anger is okay, so we get angry. So we think competition is okay, that's why we compete with others instead of cooperating. That's why. But children will pick up these things much faster.
I love it.
One of the really moving parts of our experience, the 7-day experience, was the coherence healing.
I still do it. Day to day.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about that. How do you still do that?
She's leading the group.
Do you incorporate it into your work?
So a bunch of stuff, okay? So first, what does Joe teach you? Remember, it's all about energies. And to start with, disease has its own energy or lack thereof.
Should we explain what coherence healing is?
So disease is the lack of energy, right? As we might have touched based on this, we are a bundle of energies, and we have energy centers that are flowing. And once upon a time when we were kids, we were in tune with the source of the energy, and to each his own to believe who is the source. You had that energy from the source, and sometimes that source becomes dim or faint or far, and that energy starts dimming in. That energy comes from our thoughts, our feelings, our day-to-day activities, our angers, our emotions, our fears, or everything. And what happens, because we don't have that beautiful energy anymore, we're prone to disease, because disease is the lack of energy. And actually, love is the connection. Love to the source is where there is. That's how my mind thinks about it. And that's how Joe explains it, that it's like a big, thick cord, and that cord is connecting you to your higher source. And that's why some people with faith they would be like, oh, I'm running in debt, but you know what? I'm gonna make it. It doesn't matter. And they have this faith. So this is love. But when that cord is snipped, it's fear, and then the energy centers go all over the place.
And that creates a lack.
Exactly.
And then when we have that lack, we get more of what we don't want.
Exactly. Still also chemistry happening in our body that just leads down that road, not that road.
I guess which is why it's so important just to trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the work that we're doing. Even if things aren't going even if our life isn't going the way we want it to, just kind of trust that things are going to get better, because the more we worry about it, the more we create that lack, which is going to give us the opposite of what we desire.
Exactly. And it doesn't just create our lack mentally, it creates our lack biochemically. It creates it in the events, it creates it everywhere. So now to go back to what coherence healing is, it's just opening your heart and going back and connecting yourself with that source, with that energy, and being no one, no time, no, I forgot the rest
Nowhere.
Nowhere. Nothing. And just being not me. I don't exist. I am love. I'm higher love. I'm made of love. So that attracts so much energy into you. And biochemically, you're having these beautiful transmitters that just open your mind up. And when you do that and you envision someone and you send them and you share with them that energy, their energy centers align. Thereby, their disease process decreases. And every day in the morning, we have one healee. And we've sent to people I know. We've said, for example, we're going to do our energy healing at 7 a.m. And I'd phone that person after and be like, hey, how are you feeling? She's like, I don't know when did you do it? But I felt so much energy. And it was at 7 a.m. And it was just like, oh my God, what happened to me? And I got up and I was able to go out and about. And what happened? And they would receive energy, although they're there and you're here, because we're all connected. We're all connected. We're all account to the same source. We're all in tune with the same source. Makes sense?
And we all have this opportunity to heal. And what also I love about coherence healing by Dr. Joe, so he doesn't say, oh, you need to have qualification and study like 2-3 years to become a healer. He's just telling us that you can all tap into your energy and to your heart and heal others. And this is what he was training us to do. And this is what we were doing. And we have also witnessed real recovery cases. Like I had a lady in my group, in the AIR group, and she came all the way from India. And she came here because she wanted to heal her cancer. So after just 1 week of doing these practices, she then traveled back to India. And of course, first day she returned, she just decided to check her tumor. How is the tumor doing? And then they have checked the MRI and they said, wow, in just 1 week, you have 35% reduction in your tumor size. What were you doing during this 1 week? And of course she said, okay, I epigenetically signal new genes in a new way and I did coherence healing. Of course, doctor didn't get what she was saying, but he told her, okay, just keep doing what you've been doing. I don't know what is it exactly, but we see the results. And I find it absolutely fascinating.
It's incredible. It really does open the heart massively. From a personal point of view, when I'm in public, I do have a bit of a suit of armor on, and quite often I don't show my emotions. And you go to a lot of these events and everyone's crying, and I'm kind of thinking, oh, they're being a bit dramatic, blah, 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 because I really hold back. During the meditations, a few tears did fall, but not uncontrollably. But I realized that I'm still, in many ways, holding back. That was until at one point we got to the coherence healing, and even just thinking about it now, it kind of, honestly, I feel like I'm going to cry just talking about it, because it was such a profound experience. And it was actually the second coherent healing that we did. So a coherent healing, if any of you don't know, it involves a large group of people meditating together, accessing the theta and really getting in tune with nothing, and then kind of coming together. And you have a group of maybe about 8 people, and a person is put in front 8 people in a circle, and then a person is placed in the middle of that circle who needs healing. The person that was placed in the middle of our circle, she was a disabled lady. And I'd noticed her in there. I'd noticed how sad she'd looked. I'd noticed how pretty she was, but that she'd looked sad. And just as she sat down, I was overcome with emotion. And it was almost like all these blockages that I had within myself were opening up. And I could see how intense it was for her too. I mean, my heart opened up so much during that healing. Like the amount of love I felt. And it wasn't for me, it was for her. So it's the fact that it's not about you. It's like everything else we were doing. I guess a lot of it was about us, but the healing, it's about somebody else. Maybe in a way, that's what makes it easier to let go, because it's not about you. It is about somebody else. I don't know, but I mean, I couldn't contain it. And the amount of love that I could feel for this lady, it was almost like she was doing the healing as well. Even though she was in the middle, she was like kind of in a way, I felt like in a way she was like healing me. So moving. And it'd be really interesting to connect with that lady. In fact, we have actually connected on Facebook. I haven't sent her a message. I keep meaning to send her a message. The lady was called Steph, German lady. I will send her a message and just see how she is.
But yeah, you're right. When we are raising our energy in the room, that everyone is getting affected. Doesn't matter whether you are healing someone or you are healing or you are just, serving juices there. Everyone is getting affected by the energy being raised. I know Dr. Joe was even using some of the, very advanced tools to measure energy in the room when people have meditated and they left the room. And guess what happened? People left the room, but the energy in the room was rising, because in the quantum field, there is no separation. Everything is connected. And it's beautiful when you realize, wow, it's all possible. You just believe that nothing is, going to stop you now. Because,
I love it.
We've spoken about so much, girls.
Yeah.
And we've actually been talking for 40 minutes.
Wow, you're good. Did you want to mention the walking meditation?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Who wants to take
I don't mind. Look, there are 4 types of meditations that we usually practice. There is sitting meditation, lying down meditation, there is standing meditation, and there is walking meditation, right? And usually when people just lie down or they stand or they sit, they close their eyes and they don't move, right? And what usually happens when they open their eyes and then they go back into the real life, they then jump back into the operating on autopilot. They go back to their addictions, to the chemical reactions, of anger, judgment, etc. So Dr. Do have taught us this amazing tool called walking meditation, where you actually meditate while you're walking, moving with the eyes wide open. So you can then embody this feeling of being connected with the field and being in the creative, powerful state, even when you just live your life and you have your problems and you face your obstacles, right? Is it what?
Yeah.
What Dr. Joe's doing is he's trying to teach us, or he's not trying, he is teaching us how to access those feelings and how to connect with the emotions when conscious.
Yeah.
Not just when we're kind of meditating, but you kind of still get, even when you're in the walking meditations, I think you are accessing a kind of theta. I even did it when I was running. It was a really slow run. It was so intense. Really, really slow run. But I found it really, really intense.
I love the part that he says, walk into your future is the new you.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It is so. And he has a new meditation. I don't know if you saw it. It's you start with sitting, then walking, then laying down. There's one more, I think. I don't know. I just did it a few days ago. It's so powerful.
One thing that I love about his work, he's always trying to make us feel uncomfortable, and he's highlighting that we need to be uncomfortable. Like, it's so easy. Like right now, we're sat here on our comfortable chairs. On a morning, I still do the ice cube on a morning. Do you do that, Kristina?
90% of the
Yeah.
The ice cube.
So on a morning, this is just like having a cup of coffee. It's amazing. Basically, just put an ice cube all over your face and have a cold shower.
Wow.
You know, I despise cold showers.
Me too.
I absolutely, because I just love being warm. Ever since my childhood, I've had a thing about being cold, being brought up in the northeast of England. It's absolutely freezing, living on the seaside. Like, I was just obsessed with being warm. That's kind of continued throughout my adulthood. My showers are tend to be like boiling. Like, I have them so hot. Sometimes I feel a bit dizzy when I get out of the shower. And I just love the fact that it makes me feel warm. But now what I do is, I'm having a shower, I'll finish the shower. I do try and get in when it's cold, but I have to say I haven't quite mastered that. I'll finish it for 1 minute when it's cold. You know, and that's just to shock my body, shock my body and to get away from feeling comfortable. Then, like, certain times throughout the day, I'm feeling comfortable, I'll do like some breathing. When I'm training, do some stretches, but I'll stretch in a way that my body's not used to. So just to kind of make my body do things that it's not, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is what we say, stepping into unknown. If you start to do new things every single day, uncommon, unfamiliar, this is how you're reshaping actually your future. And Dr. Joe was saying that we think consciously 50 to 60,000 thoughts every day. So 95% of those thoughts are the same as yesterday, because we are actually doing the same thing. Yeah. So then if 95% of thoughts are the same as yesterday, then how can you change? How can you improve? How can you develop? And how can you build a future? Because your thoughts, they obviously have a lot to do with your reality. So the way you think, you feel will build your reality. So what you were explaining now, Zoe, doing things that are probably uncomfortable, unfamiliar, but they're good for you, for your growth. Hence you're doing it. And hats off for doing it, because I know it's not easy, right?
No, it's not. I wouldn't even think about it. Today you inspired me to. Thank you.
So you're going to be having cold showers now?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
So we've been chatting for almost 50 minutes. Let's bring this to an end.
Can I say something about chemistry?
Of course you can, darling.
I love chemistry and biology, and it's no surprise. I love what I do. And it's about understanding the human body. So here is the science behind it, right? Our brain is made into compartments. There's a thinking brain, there's a cognitive brain, there's the speech center, blah, 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 blah. But there's this little, small, sexy gland inside the brain. And it looks like a pine nut cone, right? And there's so much magic in that cone. Now, give a normal scenario. So normal scenario is that pineal gland, you wake up, light floods your eyes, and that pineal gland was doing melatonin for you to sleep. And now when light comes in, it's like, hey, you're up. Okay, let me give you some serotonin. And serotonin is that nice chemical that wakes you up and be like, oh, it's a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful morning. This is a normal scenario. Now, what happens if the person had a trauma or some sadness or depression, that beautiful mix of melatonin, serotonin becomes upset. And there is a lot more hormones going on in the background become upset as well, like oxytocin. Oxytocin is a beautiful hug, a beautiful smile. Loving someone you know and love, that gives you immediately oxytocin. What happens for someone who's depressed, this balance goes off. Melatonin is not bringing them to sleep. Serotonin is not rising them up enough. Oxytocin is nowhere to be found. And dopamine is this much as well. So there's a big, major disconnect. So now what Joe tells you is it's biology. Use your biology. And that is why waking up at 4 a.m. and praying activates that pineal gland. And what's interesting is it's the same melatonin that's produced, but it's a better quality melatonin. It's like you didn't go cheap, you bought the good stuff. And this melatonin first makes you sleep so well, so you actually rest and heal. And then when it wakes you up with serotonin, it makes you achieve so much more because your body's so much in tune, and your body is actually running on good fuel. And the effects is benzodiazepine is a what? Antidepressant. So it's an antidepressant. It's a good sleeper. It's a antioxidant. So our body does antioxidants. So, we go out and we go have these organic stores and we buy shitloads of stuff. And actually our antioxidants is right here. And easily that entire process has 5 hormones to it. And if you just master that 4 a.m., getting into touch with yourself, with your source, with your body, do that meditation, activate that gland, oh my God, sit back and watch the magic that is created in your life. I rest my case.
Thank you. Yeah, I loved all of that. I'm really looking forward to doing that 4-hour meditation again. Yeah. We're going to have to set a date for that because it is so incredibly intense. We could just sit here and talk all day. Guys, I would just like to thank you both for your time and for your insight today, for bringing your knowledge to the podcast. It's been a pleasure speaking to you both, and I'd also like to thank Rope Hotel in Dubai Marina for allowing us to have this incredible space to record the podcast. And thank you.